Hello dear students, welcome back again to Chinmoyee's YouTube channel. So 2 days back I've already posted ecosystem part 1 where I have dealt with all the biotic components. So today is a new episode where we are going to deal with the second part of ecosystem, that is the abiotic components. So if you have not gone yet through the previous video, please go through it because it is a continuation of the lesson. So let us start with today's episode without any further delay. So what we are going to learn today? So today we are going to learn about the abiotic components, about the interdependence between the organisms, that is the relationship or the interdependence between the plants and the animals. So how the animals and the plants depend on each other. We are going to learn about the process of symbiosis, parasitism, predation, forest ecosystem with its flora and fauna. So all these 6 topics we are going to cover today. So please subscribe to my channel if you need to know more regarding this lesson as well as the upcoming lessons which I will be teaching as per your curriculum. So I am teaching very systematically each and every lesson as per your curriculum with all the details, notes and with all the details, diagrams with labeling. So stay tuned with my lessons as I keep on updating the post twice or thrice a week. And you subscribe to my channel so that you can get my updates whenever I'm posting my lessons. So let us start with today's episode. So what are the abiotic components? So let us discuss what is it. So the non-living components or the things in the environment are called the abiotic components. So biotic components were all living things of the environment and abiotic components are all the non-living things of the environment. So abiotic components include air, water, soil and climatic factors such as sunlight, temperature, humidity and wind. So each of these has a specific influence on life processes and various organisms. So all these abiotic components also they are having very much the influence on the life processes and various organisms. So let us discuss in details the abiotic components. Now, of the abiotic components, first comes air. So, air is a very important component, abiotic component, because we can't survive without air. So, every living organism wants air to survive. So, we need oxygen to survive, whereas the green plants, they need carbon dioxide to prepare their own food. Now, there is a continuous disbalance being created by our activities only because we are causing deforestation. So this deforestation, what is it causing? It is deforestation and excessive burning of fossil fuels. So excessive burning of fossil fuel causes more carbon dioxide. Okay, so this excessive burning of fossil fuels, this is causing more carbon dioxide. Okay, more carbon dioxide is produced and so that there is a disbalance in nature. Then again we can say that nitrogen of the atmosphere, by the presence of microorganisms, what they are doing, they are converting these nitrogen to nitrates. So these microorganisms are converting them to nitrates and these nitrates are very much essential for the plants. So the plants are using these nitrates. So plants are using these nitrates. Now this air is also helping us to regulate the temperature on earth and it absorbs the excess solar heat and does not let the heat the days go too hot. Okay, now at times we can see that the layer of air or the layer of atmosphere, it is preventing the heat of the earth to escape and thus protecting us from the freezing nights. Now the next abiotic component is water. So water is extremely important for all living organisms. We know all metabolic activities like digestion, excretion, circulation occurs with the help of this water only. Now green plants, they need water to prepare their food. Now we can say that about 60 to 70% of human body is water. Okay, so about 60 to 70% of our weight is water only. Of human body's weight is water. Okay, now the amount of water that we receive during the rainfall, it affects the kind of plants or animals in that region we find. So they are affecting we can say that the vegetation of the place is also being affected by the presence of water. So Assam and Western Ghats, they receive a huge amount of water, so they are having dense forests, whereas we can say that the western the arid regions where they receive less water, there's scarcity of water, there is less vegetation. Okay, now water, like water of rivers, lakes, ponds, oceans, they are a home to certain living organisms also. Okay, so water, they are home to certain living organisms also, they are home to certain living organisms. Okay, so next important factor is the soil. So what is soil doing? Soil is the topmost layer of the earth's crust, and all life on earth depends on the soil because it provides a medium for the growth of plants. Now plants growing on we can say on land get water and minerals from the soil. So they are taking the water and minerals from the soil, and in this soil only many bacteria, fungi, worms, they are growing. So on this soil only many bacteria, fungi and worms, they are growing. So we can say that as they are growing in these soils, the variety of organisms they're living in this soil, they are adding minerals and nutrients. So what these are doing, they are adding minerals and nutrients to the soil. Minerals and nutrients to the soil, and this nutrients and minerals are being absorbed by the plants. So this minerals and nutrients are being absorbed by the plants. So is it clear? So this is how each and every abiotic component is helping these environment in different ways. So air, water, soil, and next comes the climatic factor. So sunlight, next comes sunlight. So first, if we are taking sunlight, so sunlight is an important source of light and energy on earth. It is affecting all the plants and animal activities. So we can say that green plants are making food only in presence of sunlight. So light is influencing the photosynthetic process. It is influencing the opening and closing of the stomata. So at night when there is no light, so stomata is closed. So the opening and closing of the stomata is completely depending on the light. Again, we can say that the germination of seeds, we can see that there is a direct influence of the sunlight on the life of animals also. So the intensity of the light influences the behavior of certain animals also. We can see that there are two types of animals mainly. The animals which we are seeing around at the daytime. So these animals which we are seeing around at daytimes are called diurnal animals. So diurnal animals. Is it clear? And those who are not able to move around at dense light, that is the earthworms, termites, cockroaches, they are not familiar to, they don't want to move out in this intense light. So they can't stand this intense sunlight. So they are called nocturnal animals. So two types of animals, diurnal and nocturnal animals. So it is very important if they are asking you what are diurnal animals and what are nocturnal animals, so that you can say that. So this and the next slide I'll again discuss in detail. So what are diurnal and what are nocturnal animal. Now the next point is temperature. How is it affecting? Now living organisms, we are generally able to stay at a survive at a temperature of 0 to 50 degrees centigrade. So we are able to survive at this temperature of 0 to 50 degrees centigrade. Now there is a specific range of temperature in which we live comfortably, because 50 degrees centigrade is a bit higher temperature. Now this temperature, it ranges. The tropical region has temperatures exceedingly 18 degrees centigrade, which supports a large variety of animal life. And regions with extreme climatic condition, they show a lesser variety of organisms, though all they show specific adaptations to suit their climate only. So this is the temperature part. Now next to which comes the humidity. Now when we talk about humidity, what we are going to say, so it is the amount of water vapor which is present in air. So water vapor is the gaseous state of this water, and humidity, it is affecting the wind and the rainfall. So humidity affects the temperature in an area. High humidity reduces the rate of evaporation also. Now next to humidity, wind, it is another abiotic component, or we can say that this is another climatic condition which is affecting the environment, that is the movement of the air, which helps in the pollination of flowers and dispersal of seeds. So this is a very important role of wind in environment. And the evaporation, it is also helping us to sweat faster, and it helps us to feel cool, and it is helping for dispersing the pollution also. The more the wind is pure, it is dispersing the pollution, smoke, dust also. And wind also plays a major role in the distribution of rainfall over certain regions. Okay. So we can say that pulses and grains, if they are wet, they dry up faster when there is wind. So all these many small components are these abiotic components are helping us in different ways in this ecosystem. So next comes the cultural components. So what are these cultural components? Now human activities, they have a great impact on this environment. So we cannot you do not live in the same natural environment that existed a few decades ago. So new inventions have been made, but in the same time we have these inventions have impacted the environment negatively. Like you can say that this how the water, air, land, they are getting polluted because certain human activities are only related to that. Deforestation, too much use of plastic, so we are polluting the water, we are polluting the environment also, and you are not getting affected physically, but we are mentally also getting affected. So these cultural components are affecting us in many ways. So this is how the influence of human activities on the environment, they constitute its cultural components. So now we are going to discuss about the interdependence between the organisms. Is it clear? Now, interdependence between the organisms, what is it? That is dependence of human beings on plants. So how human beings are dependent on plants? So human beings, they consume the plant parts as food. Besides food, many products such as rubber, paper, wood, jute, cotton fibers, they are obtained from the plants. Human beings also use oxygen released by plants for their respiration. So many microorganisms such as bacteria and fungi are useful to human beings also. So this is the interdependence of human beings on plants. So these all are the main points on which we are depending on the plants for our food, for certain plant products, rubber, paper, wood, jute, cotton. Certain oxygen is released by the plants for respiration, and we are also dependent on bacteria and fungi, such as for many beneficial effects what they are having. Now next is dependence of animals on plants. So how the animals are dependent on plants? So herbivores, they depend on plants for their food. Animals such as squirrels and birds, they make their homes in the holes of the trees. Birds use the plant materials to build their nests. Many animals such as birds, beetles, ants and monkeys, they live on trees. Animals also use oxygen given out by plants for respiration. So these are the things on which the animals are depending on plants. Now how the plants are dependent on animals, let us see that. Now plants, they depend on the animals for the pollination. So when we are studying pollination, that is pollinating a flower from one place to another, and the dispersal of seeds, we are always dependent on plants are always dependent on animals. Now excreta of animals, they provide nutrients to the plant. So how? Now if an animal comes near a plant and he excretes, so that excreta, it provides nutrients to the plants. That acts as a manure or fertilizer. Okay, now carbon dioxide released by the animals during respiration is used by plants to make food. So this we all know, during photosynthesis process, the carbon dioxide we are releasing is being used by the plants. Now comes symbiosis. So as we were telling about the interdependence between organisms, so the interdependence, first comes the term symbiosis. So symbiosis means living together. So what is it? It is a close long-term relationship between two organisms in which both the interacting organisms are benefiting. So both the organisms who are staying together are benefiting from each other. Now we are taking an example of nitrogen fixing bacteria, which is converting the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates. So where do these bacteria stay? So bacteria, they cannot make their own food, so they are living in these are the root nodules. So these bacteria are staying in this root nodules. Is it clear? So these root nodules are the houses of bacteria. So these nitrogen fixing bacteria, they are staying in these root nodules, and what they are doing, they are converting the atmospheric nitrogen to nitrates, though they cannot make their own food. So they live in the roots of the leguminous plants, and they get food and shelter from these plants. And in turn, what they do, they are providing the plants with nitrogen. So they are converting the atmospheric nitrogen to nitrates, which the plants absorb, and they are using in their process, in their as a nutrient the plants are using. So these are being provided by these bacteria. So bacteria is also staying in the root nodules of the plants, so that they get food and shelter, and the plants are also getting the atmospheric nitrogen, which is being converted to nitrates and being used by the plants. So this is how the symbiosis process acts. Now next comes parasitism. So what is parasitism? It is also a relationship between two organisms, where an organism called parasite lives on the other organisms called the host and derives food from the host. So these parasites benefits and the host is harmed. In symbiosis, in the previous slide, we told that both the organisms are being benefited from each other. But in this, the parasites are being benefited whereas the host is being harmed. So let us see a few examples of parasites. So here are two examples of parasites. So this one is the tick. This is a tick called a parasite named ticks, and this parasite is the tapeworm. Okay, so let us see more. So now the parasites are again divided into two parts, that is the ectoparasites. The parasites that live outside the host body are called ectoparasites. So these ticks, they are living outside the host body. So they are staying outside the host body. They are called ticks, ectoparasites or ticks. So this is the example of ectoparasite called ticks. Okay, so name is tick. And this is endoparasite. So what is endoparasite? The parasites that live inside the host body are called endoparasites. Like this is tapeworm. It stays in our inside our intestine. So tapeworm, what they do? They suck blood. They suck nutrients from our intestinal wall, and they are harming the host body. They are surviving inside our intestine, and as a host body we are getting harmed by these parasites. So these are staying inside our intestine. These are all parasites and they are affecting us very badly, and they are absorbing all the nutrients from our body and we are getting sick. So these are tapeworm. This is the endoparasite. Now we are here with certain plant parasites. So those were two animal parasites. So fungus growing on tree trunks also. These are a parasite that obtains food and shelter from the tree. So cuscuta, it is an example of parasite that sucks food from another plant using root-like structure. This is cuscuta. It is an example of parasite that is sucking food from another plant using the root. And the beautiful, we can say that there are certain beautiful orchids also which grow on plants. But these parasites, they are absorbing food from the plant, and they are what in turn what they are doing, they are weakening the plants. They are weakening the plants. Okay, is it clear? They are weakening the plants. So during this process of absorption of food from the plants, what these cuscuta in turn do, they are weakening the plants. So cuscuta is an example of a plant parasite that is sucking food from the plant. There are certain beautiful orchids also growing on plants, so that we are showing in the next slide. So there are beautiful orchids also growing on plants. Though these are beautiful orchids, they are growing on the plants, but at times also these are not so harmful. They are not doing intense harm to the plants, but they are sucking nutrients from the plant to grow into this beautiful flowers. So the plants after a long period of time, it is getting weak. Now what is it? These are also certain fungus. These are also certain fungus which are growing on the plant. So these are the fungus which are growing on the plants. So they are also affecting the plant. They are making the plant weak because they are absorbing the nutrients, and they are making they are growing in turn. So these are beautiful orchids. Okay. Now next, let us see what is there. Now what is this? This is also predation. So this is an interaction in which one organism is called the predator, which captures and eating the another organism. It's called the prey, and the process is called the predation. So suppose the snake is eating the rat. So snake is the predator here and the rat is the prey here. And the interaction of organisms in capturing and eating another organism is called the predation. So the process is called the predation, and the snake is the predator and the rat is the prey. Now whereas the frog is the predator and the insect is the prey. Is it clear? Now let us move on to types of ecosystem. So types of ecosystem, there are two types of ecosystem, natural and artificial ecosystem. Like in natural ecosystem, we can say that terrestrial ecosystem, that is land-based ecosystem. Terrestrial ecosystem, anything which is land-based is terrestrial, and aquatic, that is water-based. Is it clear? Now we can say that deserts, grasslands, forests are terrestrial ecosystems, and whereas ponds, rivers, lakes are aquatic ecosystems. So, and what are artificial ecosystem? So here we can say that ponds, rivers, lakes, they are all this aquatic ecosystem. And in land ecosystem, we can say deserts, grasslands, these are all forests, these are all terrestrial ecosystem. And what is artificial or man-made ecosystem? We can say that gardens, what man is making, gardens, aquarium, parks, crop fields, etc. What man is human made, it is called a man-made ecosystem. Now here are some pictures of ecosystem which are both natural and man-made. So natural ecosystem, you can see this is the picture of a forest. That is a natural ecosystem. That is terrestrial ecosystem. We can say this is an aquatic ecosystem. It is a water body. This is also an aquatic ecosystem. And this is, we can say that this is desert. This is also a natural ecosystem or terrestrial ecosystem. Now ponds, rivers and all, they are all aquatic ecosystem. This is also a forest. This is a we can say that this is a man-made ecosystem. That is, it is a park or a covered place where there are many plants. So it is a garden or park, whatever you are telling, it is a man-made ecosystem. Now next comes the forest ecosystem. So what is forest ecosystem? Now forests are, we can say, the largest and the most complex things in the ecosystem. So we are seeing forests in every part of our land. So forests, they occupy mostly 1/3 of our land. So there are several different types of forests. First, we can say that the temperate forest. So temperate forest or tropical forest, which is divided on the basis of temperature, depending on the temperature. So whether there is a hot temperature or a moderate temperature or cool temperature. Now wet and dry forest, it is depending on the rainfall. So if there is too much rainfall, we will say that it's a wet forest, and if it is too less rainfall, then it is a dry forest or arid region. Next comes the evergreen or the deciduous forest, depending on the occurrence of the flora. So this is how we are dividing the forest ecosystem. So let us now move on to the components of the ecosystem. So components of a forest ecosystem, they are biotic and abiotic components. So this I have already discussed in details in the second slide or third slide. So go through it, all the biotic components of a forest ecosystem. We can say that biotic components are the previous episode, in the previous video, I have discussed all biotic components like the producers, consumers and decomposers. We can say that the consumers, they are herbivores, they are carnivores and they are omnivores. So those are all the biotic components, that is the living components of the ecosystem are the biotic components, and abiotic components in this video only. In the previous slide I have discussed all in full. That is, the abiotic components include oxygen, water, soil. So the water bodies, the organic and the inorganic compounds, whereas the climatic conditions like the sunlight, temperature, rainfall, humidity, all are the abiotic components of the environment. So last we are going to discuss about the importance of forest in our life. So what is the importance of forest in our life? We all know this, so it's just a quick discussion. So forests are a storehouse of biodiversity and biological resources. They help us to regulate the climate and temperature. They absorb the carbon dioxide and they release oxygen. They play a very important role in maintaining the water cycle and bringing the rain. So as we are doing too much deforestation nowadays for making buildings, malls, industries, factories and all, so this balance is being disturbed. So we are unable to maintain the water cycle, the climate and temperature is also being disturbed. So this is for the human activities only, the forests are getting disturbed. So they are preventing the soil erosion, they are reducing the flood, they provide timber, fuel, fodder, medicines and so on. And they help in reducing the global warming as well. So this is all full part of ecosystem which I have discussed in the 2 episodes. First one was the biotic part regarding the biotic components of the ecosystem, and the second part about the abiotic components as well as these important factors which I have discussed. So go through it properly. If you are not getting anything, write in my comment box, ask me so that I can get back to you in the next episode. And please do subscribe to my channel so that with upcoming new lessons what I am coming up as per your curriculum, you can learn them in a systematic manner. So your next lesson will be on hormone or endocrine system. So that I'll be teaching, that is endocrine system in humans. So stay tuned, stay updated and don't forget to like and share my videos. Thank you.